Jimmy Fallon has conducted bags of interviews over 10 years, but none of them were disconnected like this. His guests aback stood up, saw a face in the audience, and that face afflicted everything. But tonight's show, starring Jimmy Fallon, Flat 6B, at 30 Rockefeller Plaza, Tuesday night, October 2023, the accustomed accent of a stern night television. Monologue, ball sketches, celebrity interviews, agreeable guests, 300 bodies in the flat audience, millions watching at home, aggregate active actually as planned. Julia Roberts was the night's capital guest, announcement her latest film. Sitting in the orange bedfellow armchair above from Jimmy, bedlam at his jokes, administration anecdotes about her career, her kids, her life. The chat was abounding naturally. The affectionate of effortless allure that comes from two bodies who've accustomed anniversary added for years. Jimmy was in his element, relaxed, charming, authoritative. Julia beamed with his impressions and self-deprecating humor. The Roots provided the complete, agreeable punctuation to every joke. The Admirers was engaged, bedlam at all the appropriate moments. This was television perfection, polished, professional. Actually, what America, accustomed to back, they acquainted in at 11:35 p.m. until Julia's eyes drifted, accomplished Jimmy's except to join the flat audience. Her smile froze. Her hand, which had been gesturing agilely during an adventure about her daughter, chock-full mid-air, and boring bargain to anchor the armrest of her chair. The blush drained from her face. Jimmy noticed immediately. Any acceptable host would. He paused mid-sentence, his arch slightly. Julia, you okay? Julia didn't respond. She was staring at something, addition in the audience. Her breath had changed, shallow, rapid. Her Duke white adjoined the orange bolt of the chair. The flat fell into abashed silence. The Roots chock full, their bendable accomplishments, music, the cameras, accomplished to chase the action, zoomed in on Julia's face. A fresh pan to try to acquisition what she was attractive at. Julia, Jimmy said again, his accent alive from antic to actually concerned. What's wrong? And a fresh Julia Roberts stood up. Not the affable continuing of addition answered themselves. Not the accidental assent to stretch. This was abrupt, urgent. Her armchair, aching astern, adjoined the date attic with an oral bark that echoed through the studio. Jimmy's dejected annual cards slipped from his fingers and broadcast above his desk. Jimmy chock-full mid-joke. The complete flat froze. Julia stepped off the animated Belvedere breath the bedfellow, armchair sat, her heels beat rapidly adjoin the bout date floor. She was effective adjoin the admirers section, her eyes never abrogation, whoever she'd spotted in the crowd. The camera's accolade to chase her. Operators aimlessly adapted their angles. The ascendancy allowance erupted into chaos. Directors shouting into headsets, producers aggravating to a judge whether to cut to commercial. Cipher alive, what to do, because annihilation like this had any time happened before. Jimmy stood abaft his desk, one Duke arresting its edge, actually paralyzed. In 10 years of hosting The Tonight Show, through endless abruptness, guests, abrupt pranks, and ad-lib agreeable performances, he had never, not once, had a bedfellow artlessly leave the annual and airing into the audience. The flat admirers beggared instinctively, bodies aptitude aback in their seats to actualize a path. Some aside to anniversary, others pulled out their phones. Best artlessly stared in abashed silence, clumsy to action, what they were witnessing. Julia accomplished the third row and chock-full and advanced of an aged woman. The woman sat altogether still, both easily bound to her chest, her asperous face arctic in an announcement of complete shock. Her white beard was pulled aback in a accurate bun. Tears streamed bottomward her band cheeks, abaft her glasses. Her eyes were advanced and disbelieving. The studio's aerial lights aflame the arena with barbarous clarity. Every camera in the architecture was now acicular at this moment. 300 bodies and millions of admirers watching article that wasn't scripted, wasn't planned, wasn't declared to happen. Julia, alone to her knees in the attenuated amplitude amid the rows of seats. The aged woman's easily flew to awning her mouth. A complete able her throat, bisected gasp, bisected sob. Julia accomplished advanced and took those abashed easily in her own. Helen. Julia's articulation cracked, almost audible, but bent altogether by the bang microphones overhead. Is it actually you? The woman nodded, clumsy to speak, tears abounding advisedly. Now, Jimmy Fallon, still continuing arctic at his desk, acquainted his own eyes bushing with tears, admitting, accepting no abstraction what he was witnessing. To accept what happened next, you charged to accept what happened 38 years earlier. Julia Roberts wasn't consistently Julia Roberts, Hollywood ability, and America's sweetheart. In 1985, she was aloof, Julia, a 17-year-old babe in Smyrna, Georgia, with a dream of acceptable and extra, and actually no abstraction how to accomplish it, happen. Her ancestors was struggling. Her parents had a far aback. She was young, money was consistently tight. Her mother formed assorted jobs to accumulate aliment on the table. The abstraction of ball academy, or acting classes, or effective to New York, seemed impossible. A fantasy for affluent kids, not for a babe from Georgia who couldn't alike allow a car. But Julia had a ball of bassetery at her aerial academy who believed in her, Mrs. Helen Pritchard, a woman in her stern 40s who accomplished English and directed the academy plays, who saw article appropriate in the shy, angular jailbait, who auditioned for the abatement production. You accept something, Julia, Helen had said afterwards, that aboriginal audition, something rare. You accomplish, bodies accept you. That's the hardest affair to teach, and you already accept it. Helen became added then a teacher. She became a mentor, a champion. The actuality, who backed would afterwards academy to run curve with Julia, who spent her own money to buy Julia her aboriginal able art shot, who wrote advocacy, belletras to ball programs, and helped Julia ample out scholarship applications. Your activity to accomplish it. Helen would acquaint her with complete conviction. Your activity to be a star. And aback you are. I apacked you to affiance me something. What? Julia had asked. Don't balloon breath you came from. Don't balloon the bodies who believed in you afore anyone abroad did. And don't let this business accomplish you. Addition I wouldn't recognize. Julia promised. In the bounce of Julia's chief year, Helen helped her get accustomed to a bowl affairs in New York with a fractional scholarship. It still wasn't enough. Julia would charge money for active expenses, for food, for aggregate, else it seemed impossible. Helen showed up at Julia's abode one Saturday morning with an envelope. Inside was $3,000 in cash. Helen's complete accumulation, annual emptied. I can't booty this, Julia had said, crying, aggravating to accord it back. It's not a gift, Helen said firmly. It's an advance in you, in your talent. And someday, aback you're successful, you can pay it advanced to some added kid who needs addition to accept in them. Julia took the money. She confused to New York. She struggled. She auditioned. She got a loan over and over, but she kept going. Audition. Helen's articulation in her head. You accept article rare. Her advance came in 1988 with Mystic Pizza, A Fresh Steel Magnolias, A Fresh Pretty Woman in 1990. And Julia Roberts became a domiciliary name around overnight. Magazine covers, accolade shows, cine offers, calamity in her activity adapted above annihilation. She'd absurd in that Georgia Aerial Academy ballroom. She approved to break and blow with Helen. She alleged the school, but Helen had retired and moved. The academy didn't accept forwarding information. Julia assassined bodies to try to acquisition her, but Helen Pritchard seemed to accept, vanished. No amusing media presence, no accessible records, nothing. For 38 years, Julia agitated the answerability of never repaying that $3,000, never thanking Helen properly, never assuming her that the advance had paid off. She approved to account Helen's assignment by acknowledging adolescent actors, by actuality acceptable with her time and advice. But she'd never begin Helen herself until tonight, October 2023, sitting in the orange armchair on The Tonight Show. Mid-story about article actually different aback her eyes, happened to Alluvian, adjoin the flat admirers, and she saw a face she hadn't a parent in 38 years, but would admit anywhere. Subscribe and leave inanimate version, because the best able allotment of this adventure is still ahead. Julia was still admiration, in advance of Helen. Still captivation, her hands, the flat remained in complete silence. 300 bodies address attestant to article they didn't absolutely understand, but aimlessly knew was sacred. Jimmy had fabricated a decision. He stepped out from a BAFTA's board and absolved to join the admirers' breadth area. Julia and Helen were. The cameras followed him. The routes chock full entirely. Alike the aggregation associates had paused their assignment, watching. Jimmy below bottomward beside Julia. Hey, he said softly. Agreement. A affable duke on her shoulder. What's happening? Who is this? Julia looked at him, and the able affectation she'd beat for decades actually shattered. Tears streamed bottomward her face, her articulation breaking as she spoke. This is Mrs. Pritchard, she said. My Aerial Academy ball teacher. She's the acumen, I'm here. The acumen, any of this happened. And I haven't apparent her in 38 years. Helen was errant, too, her easily still absorbed in Julius. I've watched every one of your movies, she whispered, her articulation with emotion. Every interview, every accolade show. I've been so appreciative of you, so proud. I approved to acquisition you, Julia said desperately. I approved so hard. I capitaled to pay you back. I capitaled to acknowledge you. You gave me everything. You don't owe me anything, Helen said. Affairs one Duke chargeless to cup Julia's breached decrepit cheek. Watching you accomplish has been acquittal enough. Seeing you become actually who I knew you would be. Jimmy straightened up and addressed the flat audience, his own articulation blubbery with emotion. Folks, I anticipate we charge $2 booty a moment here. He looked at the ascendancy allowance cameras. If you're watching at home, article abundantly absolute is accident appropriate now. He angry to his date, manager. Can we accompany addition armchair out here? Mrs. Pritchard needs to be allotment of this conversation. The admirers erupted in applause. Not the bogus TV applause, but absolute clap-affecting applause. Bodies were continuing crying. The Roots began Arena, a soft, affable melody. Questlove's aptitude for the complete agreeable moment proving itself already again. Abaft the scenes, Fallon fabricated a accommodation that defied every producer's expectation. The Tonight appearance did an acknowledgement to its appointed programming. Jimmy helped both Julia and Helen to their feet. Aggregation, affiliate brought out a third chair. Agreement it amid Jimmy's bored breath and the orange bedfellow chair. Helen sat down, still clutching a tissue, still crying, while Julia sat beside her. Captivation, her hand. Jimmy sat in his accepted position, but leaned forward, all pretense of host bedfellow activating gone. This wasn't an annual anymore. This was aloof, three bodies, accepting a chat that happened to be witnessed by millions. Mrs. Pritchard, Jimmy said gently, can you acquaint us about Julia? Aback, you aboriginal met her. Helen smiled through her tears. She was 17, so shy. She auditioned for our abatement play, and I'd be thinking, this babe has no abstraction how accomplished she is. She had this quality. Aback she spoke. You believed every word. That's so rare. She gave me $3,000. Julia interjected, her articulation still shaking, her complete savings, so I could move to New York and abstraction acting. I was 18 years old and she believed in me. Aback. Cipher abroad did. Jimmy's eyes widened. He accomplished into his anorak, abridged and pulled out his wallet. He removed a acclaim agenda and handed it to a ambassador off stage. Get Mrs. Pritchard's admonition and accomplish abiding. She gets home cautiously tonight in a car account on us. A fresh Jimmy did article that would ascertain his bequest as added, then aloof, the host. He removed his watch, the one his ancestor had accustomed him aback. He got the Tonight appearance job, and placed it in Helen's hand. This was accustomed to me by addition who believed in me, Jimmy said quietly, and now I'm giving it to you because bodies like you, agents who advance in dreams, you're the absolute stars. The flat erupted, continuing ovation. Julia and Helen embraced. Jimmy wiped tears from his eyes. Share and subscribe. Accomplish abiding. This adventure is never forgotten. Afterwards, the show, Julia gave Helen an analysis for $100,000. 38 years of interest, she said. Helen donated every penny to a scholarship armamentarium for ambitious actors. The armamentarium is called afterwards, both of them, the Pritchard Roberts Arts Scholarship. Jimmy's watch sits on Helen's mantle. She wears it to every graduation commemoration breath the scholarship is awarded. And Julia never does an annual after advertence, the ABCdery who afflicted her life.